it's Rachel.
And Olivia.
And what is our topic today, Olivia?
Today, we are touching on a very high school prevalent issue, and I think this is the most high school themed episode we've done so far, but romantic relationships.
There's
a lot to unpack.
There's a lot. There's so much to say. You know, the first thing I'll start with, respect. I feel like people in high school relationships kind of lack a respect factor, and that's like to your partner, to their face, but also behind their back.
Absolutely. And I think because gossiping or speaking negatively is so prevalent in high school, like people kind of forget, oh, that's my partner though. You know what I mean? And then I think also by allowing that disrespect to happen for your partner, then you're creating a more difficult space for them.
The thing about high school relationships is I feel like almost every single one of them, and I mean honestly, like, I'm so serious, I think Olivia is one of the if not the only person I know who's in a genuinely healthy and mature relationship. I feel like almost every couple I witness in high school is kind of stuck in a toxic pattern. Because I feel like a lot of high school relationships get stuck in this like obsession with highs and lows and breaking up and getting back together, or or just like not liking each other and still staying together. And it's just like, I mean, you can speak to this of like people who are just unhappy, like just unhappy in a relationship. And it's so sad because these are our like formative years. Like, we don't get high school back. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it sucks that we can witness so many people not wasting their time, because obviously you live, you learn, but so many people genuinely like depressed because they're in a toxic high school immature relationship.
And I think the number one reason behind that is in high school, if you're in a relationship, that is kind of most likely, if you're in a relationship, going to be like your first more serious relationship, your first deeper emotional connection, or a connection in other ways, where because of that, it's a lot harder to break loose of that relationship. So I think we've all been there, where it's like, because this is a person who you are experiencing a first kind of for that type of bond, that it's really difficult to recognize like, okay, yeah, there is definitely a strong attachment here, but is this good for me?
One thing I definitely want to mention though is, I mean, Olivia's happy, she's dandy, but I feel like so many of us romanticize romantic relationships, and we put our entire value into romantic relationships, and like, oh, I'll be happy if I get a boyfriend. Oh, maybe I'll be happy when I get a girlfriend. Can I just say, your life is so much more than whoever you're dating. Like, oh my gosh, you need to build a life for yourself first, and you need to be happy on your own if you even want to consider getting into a relationship, because it is so not the end all be all.
Absolutely. Something that I like to give advice to my friends when I hear them kind of going down that rabbit hole of like, once I get, like, I just need a boyfriend, you know, that, which, no judgment to anyone who has said that, but just the advice that I like to give if I hear that type of thing is, a relationship or a partner is an accessory. So they are not, even though it is sweet to say like they're your other half, so I'm not negating that at all. I mean, like, they do not make your life good, and not having one doesn't make it bad, if that makes sense. Like, having a relationship should not change the quality of life that you live. So having a relationship is a bonus, is basically what I'm trying to say. If you have a great, healthy relationship, that's awesome, but you'll be okay without that relationship too. And that's something that we all have to accept before you should even think about getting into one in the first place.
Which is a very hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But it also bleeds into other things, because I mean, I don't know if we've all been there, but I've been there, and I've had so many friends be there where you get into a romantic relationship and you're so in love, and you're so like, I don't know if infatuated is the word, but you
That's a
kind
good
of,
word.
yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of start to neglect other connections in your life, and
Yeah.
you'll stop hanging out with your friends to hang out with this person, and then you notice you kind of distanced yourself from all of your friends, or you're not prioritizing your family, and soon you have no friends except for your significant other, or you've kind of just like neglected almost everyone in your life just to be with your significant other. And that, oh my gosh, that just causes so many issues. Number one, we like we were saying, they're not the end all be all. You need to prioritize other connections, but it also like it's not healthy. It's not grounds for a healthy relationship, because the healthiest relationships have independence. You have to be able to spend time away from each other in order to genuinely enjoy the time that you have together.
Absolutely. And this is, again, no judgment to anyone listening who you are kind of recognizing, oh, this is kind of the way that I'm living, is putting top priority into my significant other. Because I think it is just probably the most common thing I've seen in, common issue that I've seen in high school relationships is giving like top priority to your significant other. I hope that this is like a wake-up call for you to recognize and remember the other people in your life that add value besides just your significant other. Because I think once that infatuation, it's almost like this click, like this moment where it's like, boom, you are just all in for this person, which is beautiful and amazing part of life, to feel so much love and connection to a person. But you gotta remember that there are other people in your life that give like the same amount of value too, just in a different way. And I think going back to like first, like in high school, it's new. So because being in a romantic relationship in high school and being in a more serious relationship is new, it's so exciting. And I think that's what draws people away from the value that other relationships have in their life.
I mean, it's just so insane. I see a trend on like Instagram or TikTok that's like talking about how female friendships has been better to like girls than any boyfriend has. And honestly, like in my life, it's so true too, of just like the amount of fulfillment I've gotten from my friendship with Olivia genuinely does not even compare to any past relationship I've had. And like the joy and like just the, I don't know how to describe, like the connection and the emotional fulfillment that I get from my female friendships is genuinely unparalleled. But when you're in a relationship, you kind of neglect that, and you don't prioritize your friendships, and it's so sad too. Like I know in my experience of like I would hang out with people and they'd be like, you got into a relationship and I haven't talked to you in months. Like, where'd you go? You disappeared. And I didn't even realize. Like, it's like we get so caught up, and it's so important. I'm not saying don't waste your time, but have priorities. Like, make sure that you're not neglecting the other people in your life, because they can bring you so much more fulfillment too. And you're going to be so much happier if you still carry some independence.
Yeah, and I think something that will get you to that place is remembering your future. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because Rachel and I are seniors in high school right now, and so we're about to go to college. So a lot of people we know, they're at that terrible question, which is, will we stay together through college? Will we make it in college? And I think a lot of people neglect a little bit going to a better school, or focusing more on the school they go to or the grades that they get, because they just want to make sure that they're with their significant other and maintain the sustainability of that relationship, and forgetting the fact that they do have a future. And I think it's important to remember that you should absolutely just chase your goals. And if your relationship does have the strength to carry through that, then that's a relationship worth staying with, right? But if your relationship is a little bit, I don't want to say, but weaker, and it isn't able to make it through a long distance span, and even, some people just going 2 hours away and that's too much. It's like, then is that a relationship worth staying with if there's so much codependency that you can't even be 2 hours away from each other for a year? You know what I mean?
Or also like lack of trust. Like
Yeah,
that's such an important foundation. But I mean, this is all kind of high school centered, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what would you say is the most important aspect in a romantic relationship? Like number one, you have to have this.
Okay, this is an easy one for me because I've actually been thinking about it recently, and we just did a podcast on it, so these are going to kind of coincide. And if you guys haven't listened to it, feel free to listen to it, because this goes for any relationship in your life, but boundaries are really important. Boundaries and respect. So respect we talked about earlier, and we can go into it a little bit more, but boundaries I think is number one. And I'm not just talking about
Intimate boundaries?
Yeah. I'm not just specifically talking about intimate boundaries, but I'm talking about boundaries with everything and stating it immediately. Because, and I know we talk about this in our other podcasts, but it's especially prevalent in romantic relationships, resentment will build up. And if it's someone that you're with so often, patterns will grow, where if someone does something, and it could be very small, a joke they make that you don't like, or it could be huge, right? Like a way that they treat you. So it could be, it doesn't matter like on what level it is. If you don't say anything, it's just going to keep happening. And so something in my relationship that I have enjoyed so much is we just immediately say, I don't like that, or please don't do that again. And it's very respectful and easy to say something like that. And I mean, just game changer in the relationship that I'm in now, where it's like, I feel like I have more of a say in the relationship, if that makes sense. Like you feel heard, you feel respected, and you feel like nothing is being said or done to you that you don't want. And that is huge. And then the connection grows stronger even, and there's less resentment. I think that's huge.
I mean, that definitely goes hand in hand with respect, right? Because when you set boundaries of like jokes that they make or ways that they talk to you, I mean, it all almost always has to do with respect.
Absolutely.
I think for me, loyalty is the number one aspect I looked for.
Oh yeah.
In any.
For me, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you gotta be loyal.
definitely a no-brainer, but in any relationship ever. And I say this all the time, even in friendships, if you don't have loyalty, I'm not going to be your friend.
Yeah.
Because the way that you speak about me and treat me when I'm not looking is the biggest tell. The things you do that I don't know about, it's like, I heard something once, and it's like the most admirable compliments of other people about you are the ones that you don't even hear. Ooh, the ones that you'll never know really they said. Because how someone treats you behind your back without your knowledge, when you're not around, when you can't see what they're doing, when you can't hear what they're saying, is arguably the most important thing. And it's also the scariest in a relationship, because like I'm saying, there's no way to know, right? Yeah. Unless you hear from someone else. But I think loyalty is just like, it's the number one thing I look for in my connections with other people, and just the ability to stand up for me when I'm not there, and to treat me with respect when I'm not present, and to make sure that when you carry my name in your mouth, it's only positive things. Because if you're speaking negatively about me behind my back, it should never happen. If you have anything bad to say about me, or anything that you want to help me improve on, you should be speaking to me, not about me, to others. So I mean, there's just so much about loyalty, and in high school it's tricky because we have to calm down. We have to calm down, definitely. And I mean, that's
our minds just start picturing like, oh, he's hugging her, maybe they're like texting each other, maybe it's gonna lead into more. What if he likes her more than me? And like,
oh my gosh, so much insecurity in high school.
I think that's just a high school mindset to be in, for sure.
I think that's all on a basis of how strong your relationship is, and how much trust you have in the other person. Because in reality, if you trust that person, you don't care. Like, you know, they're gonna be loyal. You know, they'll never disrespect you like that.
That's funny. That makes me think of a story. But someone wrote like a heart on my boyfriend's arm, and a friend of mine was like, she was like, aren't you like upset about that? Like, aren't you?
Okay, I was a friend. I was the friend. I was like, Olivia, are you joking? Like, she literally didn't even care. She was like, I don't care. And I was like, how do you not care? Like, that's so disrespectful.
Yeah, but it's because I know it means nothing to him. Like, if you trust that person, she wrote like, it was like a heart and like a smiley face or something. And I was like, yeah, I mean, what's his reaction though? So what your partner does is what matters, not someone else. If someone even goes up to your partner and is like, can I get your snap? Like, who cares? If they say yes, then that's a problem.
No, definitely.
But if you trust them, right? And if someone else is making an advance like that, it's your partner's reaction that matters. That's the only thing you should be taking into consideration. Only thing.
I think for me it was like, why did he let her? But the whole thing was he didn't even see.
Yeah, he didn't see.
He didn't even see that she was like writing. But all this to say, yeah, you really have to trust your partner, and that's so integral, especially in high school.
Yeah. So like a big thing I wanted to share in this podcast with you guys is there's this amazing woman named Brené Brown, and you guys can look. She's got a bunch of books and YouTube videos, Netflix specials even. Like, she's just so smart, and I love watching her. And she shared this trick that me and my boyfriend implemented into our relationship, which I think is so important. I think everyone should know about this trick. But a relationship is very much give and take, right? And some days we just can't give as much to our partner, right? You can't give as much energy, patience, kindness. You just don't have that in you. It's just that type of day. You know what I mean? So if it's that type of day, what we do is, and full credits to Brené Brown for this, but I'll go to him, and instead of 50-50, right, which is what people say relationships should be, I fully disagree, because you can never be 50-50. That's not going to work. That's not realistic. So I go to him and I'll be like, today I'm like a solid 32 instead of 50. Like, my percentage level that I can give you is like a 32, or it's really bad sometimes. Maybe it's like a 7, you know? And we like to give random numbers to make it more interesting, but realistically, just kind of gauging in a quantifiable level how much energy and patience and like how much you can give that day to your partner. So I give a number, and he'll be like, all right, so if I'm like, I'm a 32, he'll be like, all right, I got you. What number would that be? I think I think that's an 88. So he's like, I got you. No.
68?
Yeah.
Should I cut this out?
No. Okay, so anyways, so I'll say I'm only at a 32 today. He'll be like, I got you. I'll give you a 68%. I'll fill in that void for you. So that way your partner knows you're prefacing. And instead, I think a lot of times it just leads into an argument. Like, why are they pulling back from you a little today? Why are they not being as patient? Why are they not whatever? Why not this? You're prefacing before you even talk for the first time that day. Like the second we see each other, like, hey, today I'm like a 16%, right? Just letting them know. Today is not my day. I just want you to know I'm not going to be able to give you as much as you deserve. And that way your partner can be like, all right, I got you. I'm going to fulfill that rest of out of the 100%, whatever's missing, I'm going to fulfill that so that our relationship can remain balanced, and your partner can be there for you. It's even a bonus. Your partner's also going to be there for you and know, like, it's not your day, so I got you. And it's amazing. It's a game changer. And of course, there's that question, like, what if you both can't give 50%? So what you do then is you sit down and you devise a plan. Like, if I come to him and I'm like, I am a 28% today, and he's like, well, I'm a 30%. What do we do? You sit down, and that's when you talk. That's when you communicate and you talk out, all right, so what are we going to do with our lack of energy today? Maybe we take the day away from each other to kind of focus on ourselves. Maybe we don't hang out together. Or maybe it's like, all right, today, like, just kind of is an independent day, you know? Like we're not going to expect that much of each other, and then, you know, and I'm just kind of listing off a couple of examples, whatever it is that works for you guys. If you're not able to give your 50% for that day, and both of you aren't able to, that's how you're able to communicate so that it doesn't lead to a lack of care for each other, really.
Yeah. You know what else is cute? I think I've noticed, like, not to be weird, but I feel like my friendship with Olivia has helped me kind of work on things that I'm like, in a past relationship I kind of had issues with. Like, I feel like through friendships, like close friendships with other people, I've kind of recognized things that I'm like, I can do this better in the future, because it's so easy to get comfortable in a relationship, and comfort kind of breeds neglect and arguments, and like not prioritizing or putting in that much work into your relationship because you think it's permanent and you are used to each other and you're like, they're never gonna leave me. And I don't know how to explain it, but being in a friendship, like a really close friendship that we literally see each other every single day, has been like helped me to kind of work on myself and recognize things that like I might have done this in a past relationship because I was comfortable. Yeah. But like you can't get too complacent, and Absolutely. you can't treat them like they're going to be there forever. You know what I mean? Like, you have to still value them and practice patience and kindness, because a friendship, you think like, oh, if I mess up or if I'm not nice to them, like we can just stop being friends. But like in a relationship, it's like, no, you're stuck with that person kind of, no matter like kind of not how they treat you, but like if they have a bad day or a bad attitude. But I feel like with Olivia, I put in the effort to be kind to her no matter what. I put in the effort to, like, if she does something that upsets me, I'll voice it, or I'll just like really analyze, you know, it's like little stuff like that. That's like, I feel like in a relationship we overlook, because we're like, we think like, oh, this person's stuck with me, like they can see all my ugly. But it's like, you have to be patient and kind and understanding and loving, and swallow like some of your pride in a relationship so that you don't damage it.
Absolutely. And then I think this is kind of like the flip side of that too, like to add on, is find a partner that pushes you personally. So in a past relationship of mine, I noticed afterwards, kind of reflecting back on it, it was very stagnant. Like, barely at all do I think I grew as a person. And we teach this in our Words Carry Weight presentations. Your environment matters. Absolutely, 100%. So if you're with someone who's not pushing you to, it could be as little as like study harder for a test, or it could be as big as like it makes you a more forgiving person, you know, whatever it is. So after reflecting on that with a past relationship, in my current relationship, I noticed it is completely the opposite. And I think it is important to call things out in your partner so that they can become better people, instead of just, you know, since you're in a relationship, I feel like you definitely want to like please that person. We've all been there, where you want them to be happy, so you don't necessarily tell them like, I think you're wrong for what you did. So in my relationship, we do say that to each other often. Not often, but more often than I think a typical high school relationship, where it's like, well, I don't think you should have done that. That wasn't a good choice. And you definitely don't be mean, right? Like Rachel said, you do have to practice kindness with them. But so don't say like, oh, why'd you do that? But like, you could be like, hey, remember X, Y, and Z, whatever was it that you did? I think you shouldn't have done that because of blah, blah, blah. I think this was what was wrong with that. And in the future, maybe you can do blah, blah, blah. And pose it definitely in a kind way, but push your partner to be a better person, and they should do the same for you.
I think two last points I want to kind of emphasize based off of what I've noticed in high school relationships is, number one, your partner should respect you wholeheartedly with their words and their actions, and they should respect your body. They shouldn't be discussing your body or intimate things with other people. They shouldn't be, I think that's so important. They shouldn't be discussing other people's bodies in front of you, like stuff like that. Like that's true. Yeah, like respect is, oh my gosh, so insanely important. I personally don't think your partner should be cursing at you or
raising your voice.
Raising their voice at you, or being physical with you, or like such. I feel like people overlook these things in high school. I don't know why. Yeah. I feel like there's such basic standards, but respect is so insanely important. And from what I've noticed, you can kind of get a hint as to how they will treat you based off of how they treat their siblings. I don't know if they, especially for
Or their
like,
parents.
and their parents, like their family, like how if a dude disrespects his mom and his sister, I don't know, it's not looking too good, and vice versa as well. Like, not saying that they have to have a good relationship with their parents because there are some things out of our control, but the way that they like speak about their sister, or like the choice of language, and the way, it's just the amount of respect you have for others.
Yeah.
And another thing I've noticed is, I just want to emphasize, the relationship with yourself is more important than any relationship. It's just so important. Your relationship with yourself, you should be your own source of happiness. If you need someone else to make you happy, if your partner is the sole source of happiness in your life, I think you have some soul searching to do, because it's just so unhealthy. No one else should be the sole provider of your happiness. You should not depend how your day goes based off on how someone else treats you, because it's going to be a constant up and down. It's going to be like, it's just such an unhealthy attachment.
And then you're just giving this other person control over you, which I don't think that should ever really happen, which it does happen a lot in high school with what I see. But if you're letting someone, like the way that someone treats you, affect how your day goes, it's not their day, it's your day. So now they have control, and it's something that you, right, like you don't get a say in how they treat you, and then that's going to affect your day. Like, you don't want to do that to yourself.
Yeah, and pick good partners. Like, you shouldn't be you shouldn't be in a relationship with someone that isn't treating you good every single day, like at the bare minimum. Like they should be treating you good every single day. And I feel like sometimes we overlook that for attractiveness. Like, some people, like, it doesn't matter how bad they treat you, you kind of will stick through it, and you'll stay with them, and you'll pursue a relationship with them just because you're attracted to them. But that's honestly probably one of the least important things ever. How they treat you as a human being, and how they are emotionally with you, and how kind and understanding and patient they are with you, should be the number one thing, not how cute they are, or how tall they are, or like or how nice they dress. Like, that's so superficial. It should be probably, honestly, the last of things on your list of what you look for in a partner.
I agree, absolutely. And I just want to give one last tip for those people who are in a relationship for healthy communication. And this is something with my boyfriend. We never argue. Like, we've never argued or had, definitely not a fight in general, or like.
And it's been like 10 months, y'all. Like, it's been a hot minute.
And we don't argue. And I'm not at all saying that we don't disagree, because we definitely disagree, because we're two different people, and that's just how it works. But I think people see disagreements and arguments as synonyms, and that's not true. Arguments stem from not listening and disrespecting the other person's opinion, and not taking it into consideration, and having a lot of pride, and having a lot of, like, well, in some cases anger too, that leads to a more aggressive argument in terms of yelling, or if physical violence, which, if your partner is being physically violent with you, that is absolutely not a relationship to be in, and that is an entirely different issue. That is not something that you should try to fix. That is a relationship that you need to leave.
You know what this reminds me of? Blameless apologies. Like, if your partner says, you hurt my feelings, you don't have to feel the need to defend yourself. Like, you don't have to be like, okay, well, that's not valid because of X, Y, and Z. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings. Just say, I'm so sorry. Like, what can I do to do better next time? You don't always have to defend yourself, because it's so important that you recognize each other's feelings, even in friendships. Like, if your friend goes up to you and says, hey, this hurt my feelings, your immediate response shouldn't be to get defensive and try to, like, defend yourself and, like, invalidate their feelings. It should always be, you can always apologize. There's nothing wrong with apologizing. And I feel like it goes so far in relationships.
It does, absolutely. Is just swallowing that pride, really, and understanding that, all right,
they're human.
Yeah. And, like, I hurt this person, and I'm sorry.
Even if you didn't mean to. Like, they're human.
Yeah.
They have emotions, and we all make mistakes.
Absolutely. And it doesn't, so disagreements in romantic relationships, they're not always, like, someone hurt you. It could just be a disagreement in a way to go about something. Anything. Could because people don't always see eye to eye and they disagree. And really the way is to go about it is to hear the other person's opinion and like let it soak, if that makes sense. Like take it in and don't just hear it and then let it shoot out the other ear. Like hear it and like really recognize, respect what they're saying, understanding that this is someone that you really care about and this is a viewpoint that they have. So you're going to give that your full respect. And even if you let it soak and you still disagree, that's absolutely okay. But you can communicate that without anger. You can communicate with that like, okay, I understand and I see where you're coming from with this perspective, but blah, blah, blah. I believe blah, blah, blah is the better option for us. Here's why. Whatever it is, there is a healthy way to communicate that to someone, and there's an unhealthy way, and they're very obvious. And through communicating that way, me and my boyfriend have never argued. We disagree and we talk about it, and we feel better after talking about it. Like I feel stronger in our relationship after we communicate and discuss something, because I feel like we just heard each other. It's almost like you got to know each other a little better because you get to see your partner's nuances and see things that even though you disagree, this is their viewpoints, this is who they are, even for a little tiny thing. But you just got to see your partner better. So see your partner, you know what I mean? Instead of just staying in your own head about it, you got to let it soak what they're saying.
I honestly think we could do a part 2 with the amount of things there are to say about romantic relationships. So we might do that. But thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that if you are in a relationship, that it is healthy and patient and kind and understanding, and that you're happy. And you know that if you're not, and you kind of heard some things in this episode that raised red flags, we're always here. You know our Instagram, words.carryweight. Feel free always to reach out if you want advice or just someone to talk to. We can definitely be those people.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for hearing us out. I hope for some people this was a wake-up call to understand that their relationship could be improved. And for some even, this is a relationship I need to get out of. So I hope that we have provided you a little insight as to why, and have the best day, guys.
You don't need a boyfriend or girlfriend or anything in between. You got this. Life is not meant to depend on others. Your happiness should come from within, and I really hope that resonates with some people. Stop searching for someone. True love almost always comes when you're not looking for it.
I completely agree. In the relationship I'm in, I found him like out of the blue. It really is true.
Yeah. So we love you so much. Thank you for listening. We'll probably be back for a part 2, but I hope you guys take care.
And we love you. Bye.
Bye.